blood, the sun god Atum rose from the water and willed himself into creation. Atum then created air, a son he named Shu, and moisture, a daughter he named Tefnut. They were the first divine pair and soon had children of their own, the earth named Geb and the sky called Nut. This second divine pair then had 4 children of their own, Osiris, Isis, Seth, and Nephthys, completing the group of 9 primeval gods known as the Aeneid. Osiris then married his sister Isis, and the two ruled over Egypt together in an unprecedented time of peace and prosperity. However, their jealous brother Seth desired the throne for himself and murdered Osiris, dismembering his body and scattering the parts across the land. Isis then searched for the pieces of her husband's body, and with the help of her sister Nephthys, was eventually able to collect them. With the help of the scholar god Thoth and the funerary god Anubis, Isis was able to reconstruct Osiris, creating the first mummy. Osiris impregnated Isis after his resurrection, however he was too weak to remain in the world, instead travelling to the Duat, the land of the dead where he became lord. Seth then took the throne for himself, forcing Isis to flee and give birth to her son Horus in hiding. She raised Horus until he was an adult and able to challenge his uncle Seth for the throne. After a violent contest, the case was settled in a divine legal trial hosted by the Aeneid. Acting as judge was Geb, god of the earth, who ruled in favour of Horus, who then took his rightful place as king of Egypt. Future pharaohs claimed descent from Horus, with it being this divine ancestry that gave them the right to rule. Amun, the Hidden One, was the foremost god of Egypt, thought to be the invisible force behind all things, even creation itself. Unlike other gods who were linked to only one aspect of the world, such as the sky, the earth, or the sun, Amun was a universal god who had links to all parts of the cosmos. His prominence also increased as he absorbed other gods throughout Egyptian history, taking on their roles and powers. The most important of these was his merger with the sun god Ra, combining to become Amun-Ra. In this role, he became linked with the sun, which was an essential part of the Egyptian world. It is in this combined state that Amun-Ra rose to prominence, becoming Egypt's chief deity and king of the gods. Amun became so widely worshipped that he came close to becoming the sole deity of Egypt, with the other gods merely being aspects of his great power. Osiris, judge of the dead and king of the underworld, was one of the most respected gods of ancient Egypt. His story of death and resurrection inspired the Egyptians to follow in his footsteps and seek immortality for themselves. The elaborate tombs and burial rituals found in ancient Egypt were all built in search of this goal, with the funerary practices being done to aid the spirit in its journey through the underworld. Pharaohs and wealthy nobles could afford more elaborate burials with trinkets and spells to help them in their journey, but it was entirely possible for the average Egyptian to survive the underworld as well. The soul would travel through the underworld, avoiding dangerous monsters until it reached the hall of Ma'at, the goddess of truth. Here, the soul would stand before 42 judges and proclaim its innocence of a specific sin to each. After this, the soul would have its heart weighed on a scale by the gods Anubis and Thoth. The purer the heart, the lighter it would be. If it rose above the weight of the feather of truth that was placed on the other scale, then the soul would pass the trial and Osiris would evaluate its worthiness to pass into the afterlife. If it was heavier, however, then the monster Amit would come and devour the heart, erasing the soul from existence. Egypt's most important goddess, Isis, was so beloved that her worship practically eclipsed that of her husband, Osiris. As mother of Horus, the god who represented kingship, she was thought of as the mother of the pharaoh, with each pharaoh thought to be under her protection. Her healing magic was invoked by ordinary people, greatly aiding her popularity, and she was thought to use magic to protect the entire kingdom from its enemies. Her magic was so strong that she even used it to challenge the mighty sun god Ra. She created a snake to bite him, only healing him of its venom when he revealed his true name to her, which greatly enhanced her power. Son of Isis and Osiris and god of kingship, Horus took an important place in the pantheon of gods. As the mythological rightful king of Egypt, Each pharaoh was thought to embody Horus during life and his father Osiris during death. Horus was also considered to be Lord of the Sky, imagined as a great cosmic falcon whose right eye was the sun and left eye was the moon, with the downsweep of his wings producing the winds. Seth, god of chaos and destruction, opposed the harmony presented by the divine triad of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Known as the Red One, Seth personified anger, violence, and was often thought of as the embodiment of evil. He was a god of the desert or red land.